a lot of listeners who are in the space to buy, right?
Mhm.
But in order to buy, you need a seller. In order to sell, you need a buyer, right? So all these things kind of go hand in hand. When it comes to your book, what I love about the format is it does help someone go through their own business and say, hey, this is how I can actually value my own business. But from a buyer standpoint, you can take that same playbook and apply it to any business you might be looking at too.
Yeah, I wrote the book for sellers, but the more I had to, when you're editing your own book, you got to review, look for typos, all that stuff. The more I reviewed it, the more I thought, this is an amazing book for buyers. They're going to truly understand what the sellers are putting together, or hopefully are putting together if they're smart and have a good advisor, or are doing a good job on their own. They're going to put all of these details together so that they are getting maximum value for their business. From a buyer's perspective, when they look at a business that's listed by the owner, right? They're not using a broker, or a broker that doesn't have the experience. A buyer is going to be able to look at that P&L, look at the details of the business and say, okay, they didn't do that ad back, they didn't do this, that person is, overpriced, I can outsource that to a VA. There's so much instant equity that they will be able to gain by doing the right thing in the business. Or if they bought it and then decided to sell it a year later and just make the right adjustments, or do a proper ad back schedule when they sell, there's a lot of instant equity that can be gained. And in today's environment, as you know, it's very competitive in terms of buying businesses. And certain, people get to the point of going, oh, well, I'm not going to pay more than a 3-time multiple or a 3.5-time multiple. When you understand what mistakes are made in presenting a P&L in an ABEX schedule, and that they've been made, and it's simple math to go, okay, they're listing it at a 3.5, but if they had done a proper ABEX schedule, the business as listed is really listed at a 3 or a 2.5. So I think it will make buyers feel better about buying a business, even if they're paying what feels like a high multiple. They'll understand that they are gaining some instant equity in the business because of it. And it just goes through every aspect of it. There's a chapter on deal structures. It goes through, all of the different deal structures and how to negotiate them into an asset purchase agreement and a letter of intent. That alone would be very helpful for buyers, because we go down through each point, and I talk about it for sellers. If you get this, this is what you should look at. This is the type of earnout that you should have, what a stability payment is, how to negotiate a great deal on inventory, right? Instead of paying cash for inventory, try to get the simplest thing on inventory is a short seller note on inventory. Most sellers are fine with it. If they're getting cash for most of the business, they'll do a 3 or 6 month note on inventory. It just keeps cash in your pocket as a buyer. The business is going to pay for it. There's an entire chapter on deal structures and negotiating those things. So I think it's a great book for buyers as well as sellers, even though I did, in fact, write it for sellers.
Well, ultimately, in order to do a deal, you need both parties, right? You got to have a buyer, you got to have a seller. And if you don't have one, then a deal doesn't happen. With just a couple minutes left, Joe, I've heard you say this time and time again, that 50% of what a business owner might make or more is when they actually sell the business. I found that to be true in my own life, but can you kind of unpack that statement a little bit?
Yeah, without going into the numbers too much here, because it's just very detailed, I ran the analysis. It's not, I heard it at one point, and then I thought, wait a minute, let me just do the math on that. And I did the math on a sample business, and it's absolutely true. For a young business that is, 2 to 3 years old, generally speaking, the money you make on the exit versus how much you put in your pocket is much, much higher than 50%. And it's because there's so much cash that's needed to keep growing the business, particularly a physical product business, because you have so much money tied up in inventory. You're just trying to feed the beast with keeping up with inventory. But it holds true for SaaS businesses because of the development costs up front, and content businesses because of all the writing that needs to be done up front. You're generally putting a lot more money into it up front and not able to pull out a whole lot of cash. So in that 2 to 4 year range, if you exit, you're going to make a lot more money on the exit than you are actually operating the business, because sellers' discretionary earnings does not equal cash flow, right? people get that misperception. Most people are running these businesses because they were bored. They wanted to, be out and on their own. And as you said, there's that energy life cycle of an entrepreneur. And I find my cycle has always been 7 years, right? But in this online world, there's so much changing so fast and so much pressure. I feel like that life cycle is even a little shorter, definitely sub 5, I think, on average for sure. And so, you're definitely going to make more money, I think, on the exit than running it for a variety of reasons. Capital gains taxes versus personal income taxes is one. And I know there's a lot going on in the political environment now. It seems like they're not going to be raised to the level that Biden wanted to have them raised to, but you pay less in taxes on the exit as well. It's detailed in a chapter and goes through the math, and you can add zeros or subtract zeros all you want to, but it's math and it's logic.
With that, Joe, where can people find your book? Where can they buy it? Where can they learn more about you and follow you?
Yeah. Appreciate it. It's the EXITpreneurs Playbook. If you just go to Amazon and search EXITpreneur, you'll find it. EXITpreneur.io is the website. We've got more content there. I've got a space called 10-Minute Tuesdays where I'm going to do videos and content updates on a regular basis. EXITpreneur.io, EXITpreneur on Amazon. You can find the paperback, hardcover, or Kindle.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Joe, for a few minutes of your time. This will go live right when your book launches. So thanks for a few minutes. Congratulations on your book. And we're going to make this an Amazon bestseller.
There you go. Appreciate it.